What is up, Barry? 1997 year in review continues with me, Daniel Rock 08, and this time around it is WCW's Halloween Havoc live from the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. We have Halloween Havoc 1997, a show that has one of the greatest matches in WCW history and a show that has one of the worst matches in WCW history. Holy fucking shit. This show is the very definition of mixed bag show. I mean, you talk about, mixed bag shows, man. This is the ultimate mixed bag because you have great, and then you have awful, and you have everything else in between. You have a phenomenal match. You have a shitty main event. You have the feud of the year. You have two good cruiserweight matches. You have and mediocre stuff. This is a roller coaster. You have a lot of peaks, and a lot of freaks. But you have a lot of peaks, and you have a lot of downward spirals. So here we go. We have Nagata defeating Ultimo Dragon in a good match, a good opener, a good cruiserweight division match here. A 6 out of 10. Chris Jericho defeats Gedo. I don't know who the fuck this Gedo guy is. It's another Japanese wrestler, and it's another cruiserweight division match. Now, Gedo is one of the and you talk about the cruiserweight division and you talk about these great Japanese wrestlers, again, you have Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Ultimo Dragon, Dean Malenko, even an Alex Wright. And then you have a guy like Gedo. Who the fuck's Gedo? Anyways, Gedo did a good match here with Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho gets the victory. Gedo actually did this nice electric chair, but instead of slamming him on his back, he actually drops him on his knee. Working the knee, decent match, 6 out of 10. Then we get to arguably one of the greatest matches in WCW history. Hell, one of the greatest matches of the 90s, one of the best matches, period. I talked about how the WCW Cruiserweight division is all the way up here. Well, when you talk about what is the greatest match in the WCW Cruiserweight division, well, it's right here. This is it. Rey Mysterio Jr. and Eddie Guerrero for the Cruiserweight title. This is the cream. Oh, yeah. The cream of the crop. This is the cream of the crop when it comes to the WCW Cruiserweight title matches. When it comes to the WCW Cruiserweight division of WCW, this is the cream of the crop. Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio Jr. It's a brilliant match. The only problem I have with this match, it's too damn short. It's 13 and a half minutes. But by God, it's crazy. I wish this match was 20 minutes. I wish it was an hour. This match could go on forever. Hell, if you gave me a choice between this match and one of those stupid 6-star matches recently that stupid Mark Dave Meltzer gave, I would pick this match. This is a 6-star match, but I give it 5 stars. A 10 on 10. One of the finest matches you will ever see. It's one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. This match is the cream. It's the cream of the crop of the WCW's Cruiserweight division. Rey Mysterio Jr. wins this fantastic match. Eddie Guerrero beats the shit out of him afterwards, and they continue on. Again, the cream of the crop. One of the finest matches, the best match of the WCW's NWO era, in my opinion, and one of the greatest matches you're going to find. 5 stars, 10 on 10. Next up, so that's where this Halloween Havoc show, it's at the peak. It's at the peakest of all peaks. It's at the top. And now, this is going all the way down because these next two matches are fucking shit. We have Alex Wright defeating Mongo with the help of Goldberg, who at this point is a hired gun by Deborah. Goldberg annihilates Mongo, gives Alex Wright the victory, and steals the Super Bowl ring from Mongo. So who is the true football star of WCW, Goldberg or Mongo? So a lot of people like to forget that Goldberg's very early on career in WCW wasn't exactly, very good. It wasn't very good. Yeah, he had some promising good victories over Mongo and Hugh Morris and so on and so forth, but his first feud was over Mongo. And who was the true big football star in WCW? Who was the best football star? Just like how Mongo had to prove it to Reggie White from Slamboree. Now Mongo is feuding with Goldberg basically over the same kind of storyline. Goldberg is this big football guy, and they mark up his football career during this point in his feud with Mongo. And him and Goldberg and Mongo would have one of the worst matches at Starrcade. Oh my God. Thank God I've already reviewed that fucking disappointing show. So Goldberg helps Alex Wright wins. He beats up Alex Wright afterwards. 2 out of 10. Awful. Next up, Jacqueline defeats Disco Inferno. And this match was shit. Jacqueline, who at this point in time is just a valet was a valet for Kevin Sullivan, turned on Kevin Sullivan at Bash at the Beach. And now she's feuding with Disco. This match was awful. Awful, awful, awful. 0 out of 10. If you want a good mixed tag, if you want a good intergender match or a good mixed tag team match or where it's a woman or women versus men match, take Armageddon 2003 with Trish and Lita versus Christian and Chris Jericho. That's a great intergender match. Take any China match where she's basically beating the piss out of some guy. Take those matches over this garbage dumpster fire. A 0. Then we have Curt Hennig defeating Ric Flair for the United States title via disqualification after Curt Hennig refused to take the spot, Arn Anderson spot, not a dog spot, not a liver spot, but Arn Anderson spots in the Four Horsemen. Curt Hennig joins the New World Order, becomes the 1,000th billionth member, or where the fuck, and joins the NWO. So we have this match for the United States title, and this is not even close to their match from fucking Raw from 1993, the Loser Leaves Town match from it's like from the second or third episode of Raw in 1993. This match is decent, but what's really fucking weird is Curt Hennig is not carrying the United States title with him. They call it the United States title. This is for the United States title, but it's not the United States title. It's the Cruiserweight title, which is very fucking weird. Or at least it looked like it was the Cruiserweight title. Did Curt Hennig beat the shit out of Rey Mysterio Jr. in the back and stole his Cruiserweight title? Did the United States title went missing and for some reason Curt Hennig, they had to find a replacement, so they're like, fuck it. Here, have the Cruiserweight title because we have championship spots to use. I don't know. It was very confusing because they have the Cruiserweight title out there for the United States Championship. That's like if today they had the WWE Intercontinental Championship match, but The Miz is carrying out the Universal title. Very fucking weird. That's how weird it is. Ric Flair takes the Cruiserweight title, literally, and wraps it around Curt Hennig's face, who is in the Trio Woe, puts it on his face, and stomps a mud hole in it, gets disqualified, chops the piss out of some refs. NWO comes out, beats up Ric Flair, and there you go. 5 out of 10, and Curt Hennig retains his Cruiserweight Championship. Lex Luger defeats Scott Hall in a special referee match. The special referee is Larry Sabisco. Scott Hall with 6 does get an interference victory. 6 with a botchy-looking crescent kick on the back of Lex Luger's head. However, Larry Sabisco demands a replay. And so they show the replay, shows the interferences, and restarts the match. Whatever. I guess you can make up the rules as you go, because if you don't see it, you can't call it. Match restarts. Larry Sabisco shoves Scott Hall into Lex Luger. He gets the torture rack on Scott Hall, and he wins this match. A 3 out of 10. It was fairly boring. I find it funny how Lex Luger goes from beating Hollywood Hogan as clean as a whistle, making him tap out to a torture rack twice in back-to-back times at Bash of the Beach and on Nitro. But then he has to have Larry Sabisco help him win this match. Help him beat Scott Hall, who takes the pinfall from everybody. And then Lex Luger goes so far down the card, he can't even beat Buff Bagwell at Starrcade. Lex Luger loses to Buff Bagwell at Starrcade. What the hell is that shit? This is the former WCW champion. Anyways, 3 out of 10 because I felt Lex Luger looked like a he looked like a bitch. He really did. Then, as I said, this is a roller coaster of a show here. So after some really shitty matches, we have another gem, another great match here. We have what was called Feud of the Year for 1997, another great match between Randy Savage and Diamond Dallas Page in what is this time around a Las Vegas sudden death match. Well, what in the hell is that? Well, it's a last man standing match. It's exactly that, a last man standing match. This match is great. Out comes Hollywood Hogan as Sting. He hits Diamond Dallas Page with a bat, and there you go. Savage picks up the victory in this insanity match. How do I rate these matches? I mean, these two guys always had great matches in 1997. Randy Savage and his feud with Diamond Dallas Page, it's the best thing Randy Savage did in WCW, in my opinion. From being Hulk Hogan's bitch to feuding with Ric Flair and just kind of hot potato the WCW title in very early 96 to this awesome rivalry. This is one of the best rivalries in WCW. And once again, they had one barn burner of a match. It was bowling shoes ugly, as Jim Ross would call it. This is a great match. An 8 out of 10. As I said, it's a roller coaster. So you had, where you had, Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio at the tip top. Then you have the downward spiral. And then this is where you regain control. This is where you regain control of the show. And then it gets back up. And then we have another height, another peak, another huge peak right here in this awesome Las Vegas sudden death last man standing match between Randy Savage and Diamond Dallas Page. Fantastic. 8 out of 10. And then it goes all the way back down and spirals down into the fucking hole. This is it. The main event of Halloween Havoc 1997, after having 2 amazing matches and some pretty shitty matches in between. We have one of the worst matches of all time. It's the steel cage match between Rowdy Roddy Piper and Hollywood Hulk Hogan. And for some particular reason, the WCW Championship is not on the line. Once again, the title is not on the line. Now, their Starrcade match, I feel, is very underrated. For what it was a good match. I gave it a 6. Their Super Brawl match, up until the finish, was decent. At least it was for the title. This match is none of those matches. It doesn't have that nostalgic pop at all, because by the time we get to Halloween Havoc, this match is in the shit house. There is nothing going for this match. Early on, Hogan says he's not going to do this match because he's afraid Sting might show up. And then Larry Sabisco, or J.J. Dillon, mind you, actually says, I have a binding contract that says Hollywood Hogan will face Roddy Piper in the steel cage. If he has a binding contract to do that, why can't you just put the WCW title on the line here? If WCW guys, if the WCW is trying, if WCW, they have the edge on this time around. They are outsmarting the NWO at every turn here. From having Larry Sabisco as a special referee, from having J.J. Dillon with that binding contract, and even so on and so forth. They're outsmarting the NWO, so why not put the title on the line here? This match is atrocious. Steel cage matches in WCW almost always sucked because they almost always do it wrong. You have so many steel cages in WCW. How did this steel cage look? Well, it's not like where you have the turnbuckle and then you immediately have the steel cage, so you cannot leave the ring. You cannot go to the outside. It's not like that at all. You can leave the ring. You can be on the outside. So it's not like a Hell in a Cell where it's like a steel fence and has a roof. There is no roof, and they have these big square bars, kind of like the classic blue steel bars from old steel cage matches, but you can leave the ring. There's always so many different cages. You have the triple cage match. You had the Doomsday cage. You have War Games. You have so many stupid cage matches, the Chamber of Horrors, and so on and so forth. Well, like I said, except War Games, steel cage matches are bollocks. Stupid shit. Roddy Piper wins after Macho Man comes off he does this big, gigantic dive axe handle off of the steel cage. He's like 25 feet in the air or some bullshit. He comes down. He barely hits Hulk Hogan because Roddy Piper reverses it, hits Hollywood Hogan from Savage, and then he gets the sleeper on Hogan. So Roddy Piper wins this match. He makes Hollywood tap out or go to sleep. So where the hell is the title? Once again, for the second time, Roddy Piper defeats Hollywood Hogan, but the title is not on the line here. This match is bad. I wanted to be negative. I wanted to give it negative, but I decided to stop giving negative stars. So I give it a 0. But mind you, that 0 is being incredibly nice and incredibly lenient here. After that, a couple of props, a couple of people who were obviously paid off by the company to be there. They dressed up as Sting. They interfere in the cage, and they get their asses whipped by Hollywood Hogan and Savage. And there you go. Even though Piper wins the match, even though WCW wins this match here, and just like how they win the Lex Luger confrontation with Scott Hall, NWO beats their asses in the end. A 0 out of 10, and that's being generous. Overall, Halloween Havoc 1997 is just slightly better than Bad Blood. As I said, it's a roller coaster. You have 2 phenomenal matches here in Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero, and Randy Savage and Diamond Dallas Page. You have 2 good opening cruiserweight division matches. You have Kurt Hennig versus Ric Flair, which was decent. But then, my God, Jacqueline versus Disco, and my God, the age in the cage, not rage in the cage between Piper and Hogan is just garbage. Overall, it gets a 4.4 out of 10. And I'll catch you next time when I get to November to Remember's ECW show. I talk about Survivor Series and Montreal Screwjob and all that bullshit. For WCW, it's World War III. Goodbye. Oh my God.